Welcome to the TMYK show. I am your host, Mike, the better known as Mo. Here's where you get the truth uncut. Boy, it's great to be back in the seat here. I've been out for a little bit, just taking care of some things, trying to regroup and what have you. I pray with us coming back now that we really hit the ground running. And as always, if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and share. So tonight we're going to be looking at this group called the SPLC, known as the Southern Poverty Law Center. And they were formed to fight white supremacy, racism in our country. But what we've been able to find here through the great work of our director and his staff of the FBI, Kash Patel, is that they were funding during the 2020 election and campaign. They were funding these groups that were out there causing havoc in our communities. The ones that were out here tearing down statues and what have you, all of this stuff was funded. All of this stuff was funded. And we must understand that. So we're going to get into this tonight. Please, if you can, stay through the whole thing. It will be short. All will not be going forward, but this one is a short one tonight. So stay to the whole thing. Hope you enjoy. Now let's get into this.
Coming up tonight, the Southern Poverty Law Center now facing their own legal reckoning after a bombshell indictment by the DOJ. The FBI Director, Kash Patel, will join us for an exclusive interview. That's straight ahead. Accusing them of funneling over $3 million to white supremacist and extremist groups like the KKK, the DOJ alleging. Now, the charges led to immediate blowback from the groups named on the center's so-called hate map, with many saying these charges are vindication for the groups that are on that map. Yesterday, at a press conference with Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, the FBI Director, Kash Patel, announced these charges. Take a look.
What we're here today is to announce what the General just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive, sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud.
And let me say this, as you saw in that headlines, they say fraud indictment, the DOJ fraud, because they have you so hoodwinked. They can put things out like that and believe that you'll believe it and not look at the evidence that is going to be presented over the next few weeks concerning them and their actions. And all they have to do is defend it. But they have the evidence. Just know that. It is not fraud.
All right, here for an exclusive interview, the FBI Director, Kash Patel. This is mind-numbing to me. And you have to wonder for what purpose. I mean, they love to put groups and names of prominent conservatives, and over the years they've attacked me, on their lists and smear and slander them. And now we find out that they use a backdoor and shadowy accounts to fund them. Can you explain that?
Yeah, Sean, look, money doesn't lie. The charity that supposedly fought the Klan funded the Klan. The charity that supposedly fought neo-Nazis funded neo-Nazis. The Southern Poverty Law Center ran a methodical, calculated scheme to defraud their donor base of $3 million and lied to them and used an illicit banking structure system to create shell companies to hide their money and who it was being sent to, specifically for the reason to sow discord and hate into our society. This is the ultimate definition of hypocrisy. And if you look at the indictment produced by the Department of Justice and the FBI, you will see that these banking institutions tie directly the funding mechanisms in which the Southern Poverty Law Center used to fund at least 8 hate groups they supposedly wanted to take out, but they were paying the very villains of our society they supposedly wanted to protect us from. That's the ultimate hypocrisy.
Do you think part of this was to keep themselves in business and create a false narrative that these groups were a greater threat than they are so that they would bring in more money? Was it all about money? Was it to create a narrative in the country that prominent conservatives or groups, not the extremists, and I make a distinction, not the Klan, not white nationalists, but when they go after, Charlie Kirk, for example, or somebody like him, do you think that was done purposely to diminish their voices for political purposes? Is there any electoral impact to this?
Sean, this was done in a cauldron of hate by the very group that said they were going to eliminate hate. Simply put, remember in Charlottesville in 2017 and the tragic loss of Heather, who was mowed down at a rally where she was counter-protesting. As it turns out, the Southern Poverty Law Center funded one of the operators who stood that rally up. Look at that stark example. That reality, that tragic loss of life is just one instance. These people knew what they were doing. It was calculated. And Sean, they're not stupid. You can't set up shell companies. You can't deceive the financial banking sector if you don't know what you're doing. You can't go out there and get thousands of donations for millions of dollars and use the same media who contributes to the lies that they are propelling unless you have a sophisticated, complex system to attack the American public falsely and then allow that narrative to continue by going to your partners in Congress and the fake news.
Can we get an update? My understanding is you now have, when you took over as FBI director, every FBI has a 10 most wanted list. In the 4 years of Biden, they were able to capture 4 of the top 10. Is it true you're now up to 8 out of the top 10 since you've been FBI director?
Yeah, thanks to President Trump's brilliant leadership in backing the blue, this FBI has captured 8 of the most wanted fugitives in the world. We're talking gangbangers, rapists, terrorists, murderers, narco traffickers, and we even got the Abbey Gate bomber who killed 13 brave Americans. So if we had done that in the Biden administration, that achievement alone would be what the news would be talking about nonstop. The same fake news that strives to attack us and President Trump for this monumental success, dropping the murder rate 20 points, reducing opiate overdoses by nearly 20%, seizing enough fentanyl to kill 178 million Americans, a 38% increase. And Sean, this is the most salient point of all. This FBI, under President Trump's tremendous leadership in partnership with the DOJ, has arrested 40,000 violent offenders. Sean, that is twice as many in 2024. You have to ask yourself about the explosion of crime under the Biden administration, and thankfully President Trump was put in place to tamp it down. This has been the most prolific reduction in crime in U.S. history.
I just wanted to jump in there with a couple of things right now. You mentioned something on Charlottesville. Charlottesville, that was when they were tearing down the monuments and what have you. And Donald Trump came out with the statement, and Joe Biden even repeated it and called itself being disgusted because they had paid the white supremacists to go out there causing the havoc. They blamed it on the white supremacists. And when Donald Trump came out and said there were good people on both sides, this is what Donald Trump was saying. Donald Trump was saying, everybody, I was one of them. Why are you tearing down these monuments? Let's have a conversation. That is not how you get order or come to a conclusion in a matter, by taking it upon yourself to go and destroy. That's not a civil society. And what Donald Trump said, there was good people on both sides, because remember what he just said? There was a woman out there protesting against what they were doing. And that's what Donald Trump was saying. But do you know about the woman who was killed? Did any of your other networks let you know that? Think about it. How many of your other networks going to talk about this? Going to do a deep dive into it. They're going to give you shallow explanations, shallow, and want you just to believe that Donald Trump has weaponized the DOJ, the FBI, our Homeland Security, everything that keeps us safe, everything that runs this country when it comes to law enforcement. They want you to believe that Donald Trump has weaponized it. But the truth is going to come out. When you see it, you're going to realize who truly has had weaponized this country and law enforcement. Mark my word.
Heard
Which is
anybody
also
in the
hypocrisy.
media, except here on Fox, I don't see others in the media, you know, and there are conservative talk radio hosts and podcasters. You know, I'm hesitant to ask you this next question, but I think you might want an opportunity to respond, only because with the New York Times, I remember there wasn't one, but there were 2 articles written about me. If my mother or my grandmother, I don't remember exactly, listened to Sean Hannity's advice on COVID, they'd be dead. And I went to my lawyer, wanted to sue them. I was really pissed off. And at the end of the day, we decided not to go forward with it. But it was such a blatant lie. And I'm reading that they're going after you, that you used the FBI because you didn't like a story about your girlfriend. And is there any truth to that? Because I've known you a long time. It just doesn't sound like you.
Absolutely not. The reality is, and thanks, Sean, is that this same reporter delivered a baseless story which caused a direct threat of life to my girlfriend. And that's not me saying. This individual has been charged, arrested, and is in court. And he said, as a direct result of the New York Times reporting, he wanted to take a rifle and canoe my girlfriend's face. We are going to protect not only me and my loved ones, but every American that is threatened. And the baseless New York Times came in over the top today and tried to delete that past reporting, refused to accept our comments, and refused to turn the attention to the actual court pleadings and the myriad of threats that have resulted to me and mine based on this baseless reporting. But here's the thing. Me and mine are like you and President Trump. We're as tough as they come. We're not going to stand down. We're not going to take it a knee on this one or anything. America elected President Trump to safeguard our communities. And you've seen what we've done. The 43% increase in spies that we've arrested. The children that we have found. 6,300 families now have their kids back. That's a 30% increase from the Biden administration. What the media should be asking is, why didn't they do any of this during the Biden administration? It's because they were too busy bankrolling the SPLC and getting in bed with them.
Thank you, Director Kash Patel. They're doing a great job, people up there. And as he mentioned, one of the last things he mentioned, 6,300 families have their children back. They have found over 100,000 of the 300,000 children that were missing, that came up missing during the border invasion. Over 300 children, that meaning from 17 and younger, became missing during the border invasion in 2021. So we have to understand, things are being done. People are being uncovered. And as I've said, what's done in the dark will come to the light. I trust God with everything. And his word will not come back void, people. So pay attention. Open up your hearts and your minds to truly receive the truth and not the fantasies that they have had most of America in. And I shouldn't say most, but a lot of America in their ways of thinking, because they have really been trying to destroy this country. You divide and conquer, and that has been their mission. But they are woefully losing the battle, and people are thankfully waking up. So as always, if you've enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, we love you, and be kind one to another and love each other. Peace.